tell you anything.
We trust you, yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
So, Mr. Director General, thank you very much for your time. It's a great honor for me. I know you're very busy these days. If I can start, please, with first question. You are one of the few leaders of international agencies who actually go to the front line. What drives you to do that, and are you ever scared?
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, first of all, to talk to you. Well, I think it's part of our mission. There is no recklessness on our part. It's simply the fact that, as you know, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is on the front line, and we are in charge of an important effort to support there and to try to prevent a nuclear accident. And I believe that as the head of the IAEA, I should not be simply talking about it, but going there, assessing for myself what is going on, talking to the current management there, talking to the operators there, talking to everybody, having an assessment. So this is why I think until the whole situation stabilizes, we will have to continue doing that. And this is why yesterday, with the news of the destruction of the dam on the Dnipro, I announced that I will be coming again to assess what the situation is. You know that there have been some consequences after that, and basically this is the reason.
Thank you. Following up on that, on the attack on Kakhovka, what do you make of that? You mentioned yesterday that there are no big short-term effects, but what do you think of the long-term ones? How would you evaluate? How much are you concerned?
Yes, we want to strike the right balance. You know, we don't want to fan flames or create panic, because there is no reason for that. At the same time, it's a serious situation, so we don't want to downplay it, implying that there is no problem here. Yes, there is a problem, because there is a steady decrease in the level of the water, which is in the reservoir and in the cooling pond, which is very important for the cooling function of the reactors. So there is this issue which exists. We are monitoring, as I announced to the board yesterday, to the Board of Governors here in Vienna. We are monitoring the situation. We are following the pace, the degree of decrease in the water, and we will have to be evaluating from our position as IAEA what would be the mitigating measures which we would advise. I'm sure that the plant there has some ideas about it, so we would like to discuss it. There could be, as you are saying, in the, I would say, in the midterm, not in a distant future, there could be some consequences if the situation degrades or gets worse than it is now. But we are not there yet. The situation is a serious one. Let's put it like this.
What midterm consequences could be, just for our audience?
Well, if we lose the cooling capability, you can have a meltdown, you can have some radiological consequences, on top of the fact that the reactors themselves could be damaged in a very significant way, apart from the environmental consequences that there could be. So there could be some consequences, of course, and we have to take them into full account.
You also mentioned that you would like to reinforce the Zaporizhzhia team. How many more people are you thinking to deploy, and when exactly are you going next week?
Well, we are trying to complete the rotation of the personnel next week. The exact date I couldn't tell you, because this will depend also on the agreement that we must get from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense and the Russian Ministry of Defense. You know that because of the unique characteristics of the place, as you mentioned, we are in the front line. It is a very delicate operation. The United Nations Safety and Security Department is involved. They have to do what we call the deconflicting, so we can pass in a secure way, hopefully. So, but it will be next week. As I announced it. The fact that we are increasing the number of experts is because of two main reasons. First, of course, this unexpected situation that we have after the destruction of the dam. And the second is, you may remember, things are happening so fast, but you may remember that last week I was in New York at the United Nations Security Council, and then I established some basic principles to prevent a nuclear accident there, including the fact that our mission now is going to also be monitoring certain aspects related to the physical integrity of the plant, the avoid deployment of heavy military equipment or attacks coming. So the mission, the tasks, if you want, the homework for the team is going to be bigger. The exact number, I don't know. It could be 4, 5, 6. It will depend on our assessment of how many people are needed for the specific functions. But we are going to be reinforcing it. Yes, for sure.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to follow up on your 5-point plan. What is the progress on this, as you introduced it only last week? And have any of the parties been objecting to any of the points?
No, I would say I'm encouraged by this. Of course, this is a very, we have to deal with this with extreme care because given the circumstances and that there is an open conflict or war, whatever you may call it, you know what I'm talking about. The ideas included there have military relevance, and so the important thing for me is that they have taken note of it. No one has opposed it. Many have supported it. So I feel I have sufficient backing of the international community, including by Russia and Ukraine, to deploy these functions or to make them operational. So far, I think we are moving gradually into this. We'll have to adjust a little bit because, of course, my experts will be looking or monitoring things that they were not monitoring before. So this requires good understandings, collaboration, and a good understanding. So even for this, I think my visit to the plant might be useful.
Thank you. And are you going to discuss Moscow's concern with Kiev? Because Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia, Alexander Grushko, he said that Kiev is sort of not following this initiative. Are you going to discuss it with Kiev, and when are you going to Moscow?
Well, as you know, one of the important things for me is to be able to have a very good and open channel of communication with Moscow and with Kiev. And so far, I've been able to have that, and I'm grateful for the understanding that has been shown on both sides of the fact that I have to do that. So yes, I will be discussing everything with everybody. Next week, I will be in Zaporizhzhia. Probably I am going to be seeing the president of Ukraine. I discussed with him last night. As it is public, he himself announced it. So I think it would be of all logic that after that I go to Moscow or any other part in Russia, so in order to continue this very relevant conversation that we are having. The important thing is for me to avoid a nuclear accident. This is my main objective, and that requires a lot of effort. So I will continue.
Thank you. And, from the ground, what are the relations between the Ukrainian staff and the Russian management at the power plant?
It's not an easy one. One has to understand this. It's not an easy one. It's a professional one, but not easy, and there have been tensions. So we, to the extent we can, from the IAEA perspective, we have been trying to act as a bit of an intermediary sometimes to make the points understood between one and the other side. So far, we have been able to avoid major problems, but there have been tensions, and I think we have to deal with this. It's a reality, and I think it wouldn't be correct for me to pretend but there are none. That there are none. So you may have seen that I have been referring to the issues of staff, the welfare of staff, and the fact that some of them are not happy with the situation, and it's an understandable, humane thing that we have to deal with.
Yeah, I saw that you even provided psychological support, right? Healthcare support for the
Yes.
staff.
You know, operating a nuclear power plant in and by itself is something pretty delicate. And these are things that experts, medical experts, psychologists have been studying for a long time. So we believe that in these circumstances, it would be good. It would be a cooperation. And this applies, as you may have seen, not only to Zaporizhzhia. We are doing it in other nuclear facilities because, of course, there have been situations, there are blackouts, there are, there's shelling sometimes, or there are raids, and as in any war situation, and we have to, and it is my duty to understand what could be the consequences on the operation of these very sophisticated installations as a nuclear power plant.
Thank you. You were also recently in China. Do you think China could be anyhow the guarantor for the security as they're trying to be the mediators for the war?
Well, this is a very good question, and it is a very, I would say it's a wide question that you're asking that goes a little bit beyond my remit because it has to do with a bigger or wider political settlement. But what I can tell you is that in my conversations in Beijing, the state councillor and minister for foreign affairs and other high-ranking officials from China have reiterated that in line with the positions presented by President Xi Jinping, they believe that there are certain ideas that they have. And mind you, in those plans, the issue of nuclear safety is included as one of the first or higher in the list. So I have seen these statements. I think that every effort, at the end of the day, every effort to bring peace and to bring diplomacy back to the fore, me as a 40-year plus diplomat will always welcome, and I'm very grateful for that.
And on a little bit other note, entrepreneur Elon Musk and US producer Oliver Stone are one of those people who argue for usage of nuclear energy. But you are here sort of fighting the negative consequences of misuse of nuclear energy. What do you think of their opinions to use it more worldwide? Do there need to be some worldwide guidelines, or how would you imagine?
I think it's very interesting. What is happening, and this is quite clear, what is happening is that in the global or as part of the global concerns that exist everywhere, in Russia, in America, in Europe, in every country, in every continent, we see that we have this problem of climate change, global warming. This is a reality. At the same time, we need to find solutions that are viable so that countries can grow, can fuel their economies, and can do it in a way which is not harmful. And it is obvious that nuclear always was part of that solution. The problem was that there was a lot of political pushback, and now this political pushback is dissolving because there is what I like to call a return to realism. A return to realism in the sense that people are seeing that nuclear is efficient, nuclear is clean, very stable, reliable. So obviously countries are looking into that. And I'm not surprised that people like Elon Musk or Bill Gates, with whom I had a meeting in Pittsburgh a few months ago, they are. These are business people, huh? They are making money, so they are betting or investing into these things, and they do it because they see this activity as an activity that is going to grow in the future. So the IAEA, which has no commercial interest, but it has a statute and a mission to promote peaceful uses of nuclear energy, can contribute. In what way? In making sure that all of this happens in a safe way.
Thank you. And in your CFR speech, which I was watching, you were saying that in case of Fukushima, we could blame the weather. In case of Chernobyl, mechanics. But now there is not really one point to blame, and that you are sort of fighting against a disaster. But what do you think you are fighting against? Is it ideologies? Is it egos of people? What are you fighting against?
No, well, I think what we have here is a situation of a military conflict, a war, a special military operation, whatever you call it. You know what we're talking about. And a big nuclear infrastructure is there. So what we are trying to do is to highlight, and more than highlight, try to provide measures so that this conflict, which of course we hope it's going to be over as soon as possible, does not add to the tragedy that war brings. War brings death, conflict, suffering, however you look at it, irrespective of the motives, the fairness or unfairness of the situation, it brings a lot of grief. So what we are trying to do is to prevent that on top of this, you have a major nuclear accident with big radiological consequences, because this is our mandate. We would like to do more if we could, but we believe that what we are doing is not little, is a lot. So this is what we are fighting. What we are fighting is not egos or ideology. What we are fighting and trying to show is that there are things that can be done to prevent this from getting even worse, even more damaging in general.
Last one. You're also a big user, hopefully you are, of social media.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, how would you evaluate sort of the reporting of social media versus the mainstream media on the situation? And are people becoming complacent with what is going on? What do you think is more effective?
I think we need everything. I think, of course, there are certain deviations or certain exaggerations, and people in your profession talk a lot about this, and there is a lot of discussion about the fake news or the fact that some people could be abusing the enormous freedom that we have these days through the social platforms that exist and allow almost everybody to have a view or to project things that may or may not be true. But I believe the responsibility of modern international organizations is not to decry this or to criticize this, is to be present in that space, in that cyberspace, or however you call it, or information space, to be present and to put out information in a timely way, in an understandable way. Now we are moving into spaces of time that are very short. People need to understand a problem, for example, like the attack on a dam, and what are the nuclear consequences of that in 40 seconds or 141 characters or whatever it may be. So I think it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge for people like you, but also for people like us. And I see social media, social communications in whatever form as an opportunity for us to make the message clear for everybody, and hopefully to get the support we need.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Grossi. It's a great honor. Thank you, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Hope it's good for you, and well.